Canada made history at the 2024 Copa America after finishing 4th place, and I've now had some time to digest the matches, watch them back, and I've come up with a report card for each and every player where I'm going to give them a grade from A all the way down to D, plus the not available section for players that didn't really feature or didn't feature at all. So hopefully you guys are excited, and if you are, let's get into it now. Here's the tier list, so let's begin with the keepers, and I'm going to start with Maxime Crépeau, who I thought had a fantastic tournament, and I do believe I'm going to give Maxime Crépeau my player of the tournament for Canada. I thought he was absolutely sensational. I'm going to give him an A+. I had decent expectations going into this tournament, and he smashed every single one of them. He was the main reason why we were able to progress as far as we did. And I just don't really think he did anything wrong. He's going to be as high up there, and I don't think anyone is going to pass him. He's my player of the tournament. The other two keepers we will take a look at. I mean, for me, Dane St. Clair I thought was okay. I think that if Crépeau was in that net against Uruguay, we might have won it, although you can't really give a lot on St. Clair there. I don't know what it is. I think maybe because Crépeau was coming off of the tournament of his life, I really wanted to see him see it out. I didn't think there really was a need to come in. It's not like Dane did too bad, but for me, I'd probably give him like a B-. Doesn't really move the needle for me. Crépeau is still the main man going forward, but I don't think he made a couple of decent saves, so I'll give him a B-. McGill did not feature at all, so he will be in the not available section, and we will move on to our defenders. The first defender I want to focus on is Alistair Johnston, who is up there again in the top 3 players for Canada. He would probably be number 2 or 3 for me. So we'll see where he goes right now, but he gets an A. I thought Johnston was spectacular. You know, it's not the sexiest position playing as a right back, but he was so good defensively. He was a leader on that pitch. You saw even when Luc de Fougerolles came on against Uruguay, and he was a little shaky at the beginning. Johnson came in when he started making some good challenges. He fired him up. He's the type of player you want at the back, and I thought he was a rock, an absolute monster throughout. He might be second. I have obviously one player in mind who I think may just pass him, but Johnston was absolutely fantastic for my liking. We'll move on to Luc de Fougerolles, and I'm a little torn. I thought it was a big call for Jesse Marsch to start de Fougerolles in a 3rd place match like this. I kind of liked it, but I was also kind of worried, and rightly so, because I thought he had a really rough start to that match. He got the early yellow. He just looked like he was off the pace, and I thought that there was a chance he could get sent off, or one of the goals could be directly his fault. A couple sloppy giveaways as well. But what I liked about him is that he really relaxed. He grew into the game. He made some good challenges. You saw pictures with him and Luis Suarez, which I thought was really cool. And I thought he had a really proper end to the game to show why this kid is so talented and why he has a bright future. But I can't honestly say that he was impressive throughout. It's just he had a tough start. He recovered decently. And for an 18-year-old, you have to give him credit. So I'll probably throw him with that B- club right now with Dane St. Clair. Honestly, I might even put him a little bit above Dane just because it's hard. I mean, the expectations of an 18-year-old against Uruguay, I didn't really know what to expect, but I think I will give him a B-. We'll go over to Kamal Miller now. Kamal Miller did not play a lot, similar to de Fougerolles. De Fougerolles only played 67 minutes, where Kamal Miller played 45 and then got a minute or so in additional time. So he didn't have a ton, but it's so difficult to want to grade Miller because going into this tournament, I thought there was a chance maybe Jesse Marsch would go with some MLS guys, and that Kamal Miller seemed to be the preferred center back over Derek Cornelius under Biello, under Herdman, and I thought that there was a chance, but Derek's like, no, this is my position. Cornelius, Bombito, they took it over. So there's no way Kamal, honestly, I can't really give him anything besides a C, I think. He came on, I don't think he overly impressed, but he didn't do anything wrong. But the needle's been moved. Derek Cornelius is the starting left-sided center back, and Kamal's got a lot of ground to work up. And after the way that Cornelius played, I don't think that there's really a chance that that's going to be turned around. So speaking of Cornelius, I'm going to put him probably, I don't think as high as Johnston. I gave Johnston an A. I think I'm going to give Cornelius an A minus. Really impressed throughout. I thought he absolutely made sure that everyone knows he's a starting left-sided center back. Bombito, Cornelius are both being linked to Ligue 1. The tournament was, I think, not a real breakout for him. I've been a fan of Cornelius for a while, but I think he showed that he can play with the big dogs. And if he gets a move to a top 5 league, that would be massive for that position going forward. I really liked his tournament. I would give him an A minus. And I think that's what I'm going to do. Just under Johnston, but in that A tier. Next up is Joel Waterman, who did not feature, so he can slide into the not available section. Next up, we have Bombito. I feel I don't want to put too many in A. I really like Bombito's tournament. This is a player that has never had an experience at this level. He's very raw. He's like Jesse Marsh said, there's no reason should have been discovered as late as he did. I thought he had a really, really solid tournament. He's being linked to some big leagues around the world. He's a raw talent. He's good on the ball. He's good in the air. He's very, very fast. He still has that mistake in him, but I think that will come with time. I think Cornelius had a better tournament. I don't know if everyone's going to agree with that. I think I could probably put them right around A minus, both of them. But I'm torn. It's either an A minus for Bombito or a B plus. And I'm a little torn on where I want to go with it. I think I'm going to go B plus. I think I'm going to go B plus for Bombito. Yep. B plus. You can put A minus, B plus, so right around there. I just think Cornelius had a little bit better of a tournament because he's a little bit more composed, and Bombito just shows that he is a raw talent. So I thought he was exceptional. I thought he was way above my expectations, but I am going to put him as a B plus. That was the most difficult one so far. The next player is going to be Alphonso Davies, so I'm just going to give a B2. I thought Davies was solid, but as expected. So I'm going to put him under Bombito. We got 2 B minuses there. Davies didn't, he was solid. He was quietly solid. He played as a left back, which I liked him there. And I don't think he really dominated this tournament in any way, but he was solid. Next up will be Richie Larea. And Larea was a bit of an interesting one. I didn't know exactly what his role was going to be. We saw him at right mid. We saw him at left back. He had a solid tournament, but he had his moments. I'm thinking around the B minus. I think I'm going to put Richie just under Alphonso Davies, B minus kind of territory. Some good things in some of the matches, like that Peru match. We absolutely needed somebody like a Richie Larea in there. That Chile match as well. Such a fun player to watch when he's in the thick of things, and I liked a lot of it. Sometimes, some games though, he was a little quiet, so I feel like a B minus is probably fair. Now to wrap up our defenders, we have Kyle Hebert. It's an easy one. He obviously did not feature in this tournament, so he will be in the not available. Then we'll move on to the midfielders, and the first player that we're going to talk about is Ali Ahmed. I think Ali Ahmed had a really, really good tournament. He played 18 minutes, followed by 35, followed by 77. He grew into this tournament. I think that he's a player that can push for a starting role, whether that's in the midfield, out wide, versatile, exciting, good on the ball, put in a beautiful cross where he should have picked up an assist. I'd give him a B plus. I really like what I saw from Ali Ahmed. I think that I'm hoping that there's more to come from him, but I'm going to slide him under. I'm going to give him a B plus, but under Bombito. Really liked what I saw, and I think there's a good opportunity that he could fight for a starting role going forward. The Whitecaps fans know that. Absolute fantastic player that could be important for this national team going forward. Next up, we have Piet. Did not feature, so he will go into not available. Next up, we have Stefan Eustachio. I thought he was solid. I don't think he's going to be in that A tier. I think it's probably like a B plus again. So, we know what to expect from Eustachio. Kind of like Davies, but I think he had a bit of a better tournament, so I'm going to put him in that B plus category, a little bit above Ahmed, but not as much as Bombito. We know what we're getting from Eustachio. I was impressed throughout the tournament with him because that's just what I come to expect from him. Next up is Ismail Kone, and this one was interesting for me because Kone going into this tournament came off of that incredible game against France and then was very flat, was left out of the starting 11. I wasn't really sure what was going to happen with him. He scored the winning penalty. He obviously missed the penalty in the Uruguay match, but he played great in it, scored that incredible scissor kick. It's hard because this is throughout the entire tournament, so it feels unfair to put him in that A. But because he had such good moments, but he had a couple of really difficult matches. So I feel like I'm going to put him a little bit above Davies, and it's just a wild card because he had some huge matches. He had the transfer that was probably going on in his mind as well. The atmosphere of everything. It's hard to say, but I can't really justify going much higher because he had a couple of really disappointing performances, followed by a couple of good ones. So I feel like B is fair. I think his stock went up because teams can see what this guy can do, but overall, I'm going to give him a B. Next up is Jonathan Osorio. I thought Osorio can, kind of showed that, hey, this can be a 4-2-3-1. I can play as this number 10. I think his stock went up. I didn't think he was exceptional. I thought he was solid. I feel like I would give Osorio a B as well. Probably just a little under Davies or around where Davies is. Good performance from him. And I think that he did put himself in a good position to maybe get looked at for a 4-2-3-1 system as a number 10. Next up is Mathieu Chouanière. I loved what I saw from Chouanière, if I'm being honest. A player similar to Ali Ahmed that I think can push for a starting role. He played 90 minutes followed by 18, so he had a decent look throughout this tournament. I'll probably give him a B+ as well, but just a little under Ali Ahmed. I think he did both of those players did wonders for their chances to break into his future starting 11s. And when you look at that midfield, if they do go to a midfield 3, you have Kone, Eustachio, then throw in a Chouanière or an Ahmed. Maybe Osorio can push for it. All three players did a great job. Just given the age of Chouanière and Ahmed, they probably have a bit of an advantage. Now we're going to move on to the forwards with Tajon Buchanan. Obviously, the injury sucks for Buchanan, but he was not playing overly well. He played 59 minutes, followed by 24, followed by 14, had to leave the tournament, and he may get the lowest grade just given his expectations and, how big of a tournament I thought he could be in for. I'll probably give him a C-, I guess. I mean, I don't think any player really deserves a D. But I expect more from Tajon. There's that argument of players getting big moves and then not playing, and I think that kind of is the case here with Buchanan. Looks like a player who honestly looks a little bit out of form, but you're never going to reject a move from Club Brugge to Inter Milan. You're simply not going to do it. I know he's not going to start. This was supposed to be a big season for him, but the injury is really going to set him back. It came at the worst timing for him. Just a really disappointing tournament overall for Tajon, and wish him a speedy recovery, and hopefully he can come back to full fitness very soon and keep competing for hopefully minutes with Inter Milan going forward. Next up is Kyle Larin, who's a polarizing figure. I get that Kyle Larin does a lot for Jesse Marsch in this system. Jesse Marsch only had a few weeks to get this team together. He went with the 13, 14, 15 players he trusted the most. He went with our two all-time leading goal scorers, Jonathan David, Kyle Larin. It wasn't always pretty. David did walk away with 2 goals from this tournament. They missed a lot of chances. Tani Oluwaseyi came off the bench, and yes, he was a breath of fresh air, but he missed a ton of chances as well. Finishing throughout this tournament was not good enough. It made matches even more difficult. That Venezuela game should have been taken care of. The Uruguay match could have been taken care of. When you don't take your chances, they come back and bite you in the butt. And yes, I think Jesse Marsch can be very proud what this team can do off the ball. The defensive work rate is great. Kyle Larin was involved in Jonathan David's first opening match. He showed why he can be a good number 9, hold up the ball, lay it off for Schaffelberg. It's just, if he would have played exactly the way he did and took his chances, he could be like a B+. I'll probably give Kyle Larin a C+, because there was some good moments, but he's a striker where I expect more. And if I'm being honest, I'll probably put Tani Oluwaseyi around that C+ as well. Yes, he excited me when he came on. He was something different. He created a ton of chances with his speed, his strength. but the finishing wasn't good enough. And at this level, you need to put the ball in the back of the net. And if you can, and if you have 1v1s against a keeper, you don't put it away, or you have a beautiful ball coming in from Ahmed, like I mentioned, that he just couldn't get good connection on. The more we keep missing, the more it's difficult to want to put you up there. Although I really liked what I saw from Tanny. So they're both C pluses, but it's down to finishing. If both these players could have played the same way, but put the ball in the back of the net, they'd be comfortable B pluses, which is why Jonathan David's going to be a little bit higher on this list. He missed a few chances as well, but you know what? He put the ball in the back of the net twice. I would put him right. I'm going to put him right beside Alphonso Davies. I expect that from him. I expect him to probably put a couple more away, but he did score 2 goals. There was some really good things we saw from David off the ball. I think he is one of the best pressing strikers you're going to find in football in general. I think Jesse Marsch is going to love using him. I thought he had a decent tournament, and I think a B is definitely fair. The next 2 strikers on this list both didn't feature. Really, I mean, Theo Bair came on for a little bit, but you can hardly give him a rating. Russell Rowe came on for 5 minutes as well. Like, they both barely played, so I'm not really going to give them a rating. Then we have Liam Miller, another polarizing figure. I'll probably put him a little bit above Tajon Buchanan. He came into this tournament with a starting role. He lost it to Schaffelberg, so I feel like similar to Kamal Miller. It's just not great when that happens. But he was used a lot. Liam Miller did play a lot through this tournament. I thought there were some really good things. I thought there was some good chemistry there in the first match against Argentina with Davies. They created a ton of chances. Miller had a couple chances to score as well. I wasn't as hard as him as a lot of Canadian fans were. I'd put him in this tournament as a C, maybe a little bit above Kamal Miller. I think he got a good chance to start going forward. I think Jesse likes a lot of what he does off the ball, similar to that of what Kyle Aaron does. A little bit more in the final third from Liam Miller, I think will go a long way and could push him up towards, what would have been like a B rating, similar to the way if Kyle Aaron could have put the ball in the back of the net. Which means that we're going to end with Jacob Schaffelberg. And now I need to make a decision of my 3 players of the tournament, and I think I'm going to put Schaff as an A. 1A plus goes to Maxime Crépeau, A to Schaffelberg, A to Johnston. Those are my 3 Canadian players of the tournament, and then another A goes out to A minus goes out to Cornelius to wrap up the tournament. I don't think it was fair really to give a D. Few players that barely played or didn't feature at all are in the not available, and that is my list. So let me know down in the comment sections, what do you think of my grading? Do you agree? What would you change? And as always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like, drop a sub. We'll see you soon. Cheers, friends.